We'll learn how to make holes in objects, sometimes referred to as compound paths in other drawing programs. And Anime's got kind of some unique features. You might think this is a bug if you come from something like Adobe Illustrator. It's not. The program just performs differently, and let me show you what some of those differences are. Let's go over here to the Shape tool. I've already set my style colors here to blue and black for an outline, blue for a fill, so you can really see what's going on. I'm going to select the Ellipse tool right there and simply draw a circle. Now watch what's happening. I'm going to draw another circle, and this appears in front of the first one I've drawn, and I draw another one and it's still there. There's no automatic holes. If I draw anything in the middle, there's no automatic holes. If I happen to go ahead and select the Add Point tool and go ahead and click and drag, do the same thing, there's no holes. If I grab the Freehand tool and click and draw, there's no holes. But if I take the Freehand tool and click and draw from outside the perimeter and go inside and join and release, suddenly we get a hole in an object. This is a nice thing as long as you're aware of it that you can use. And if you happen to drag across multiple shapes at the same time, then you wind up with multiple holes or compound paths. Now this can drive you nuts if you're actually trying to create a specific shape. So let's create a specific shape that has a hole in it that we can go ahead and work with. Now these are just some features of Anime that I want you to be aware of. With the selection tool that we have right here, Select Points, typically it draws a rectangle. If you ever need to draw an irregular shape, just come up and turn on lasso mode and it allows you to go ahead and select things in whatever shape you need. We're going to delete all that content. It's highlighted. I'll press delete on the keyboard. And now let's create something like a bank robber's mask or something that you would have go over something else. I'll create a background so we can test this out and make sure it's okay later on. That's highlighted. I'm going to change this to, let's select the shape here, make it something like, oh, I don't know, red, and click off of it. Now for my next shape, I want it to be kind of a gray for the mask, and we'll leave the border as black. Well, actually what we'll want to do later on is we're going to have to empty those shapes of a fill color. Now here's where Anime is a little bit goofy, but goofy because I come from another tool set. It works great though. I am going to go ahead and use the Add Point tool and create a very specifically shaped mask. With the drawing tool right here, we don't have really any options here other than sharp corners, which is what I'm going to enable right now. I'm going to go click, and this will be the top part of the mask. Well, let me undo that. I have to click and drag, and do that. And we'll get our basic mask shape here. I'm going to round out some of these corners in a little bit. But there's our shape, and it automatically fills. Don't want that. I'm going to turn off the fill. Now when I draw another shape, like where the eyes would go, I'm going to click and drag again, and we'll create one eye and then the other. This also fills with color. Don't want that. And if you want to wait till the end, you can do that and then select them all individually, or collectively I should say, and then empty them of a color. Multiple shapes selected. When you work with the style palette, will go ahead and all inherit whatever it is that you've done. Now, with these turned off or empty of fill, I can come over here to the Shape tool, the Create Shape tool, and actually, let me undo that. Well, I want the fill to go away. Let me grab my selection tool here and drag all the way around this so that all the points are selected. When we come back to our Create Shape tool, we now get an object that has holes in it. And we can either go over to the Paint Bucket tool and fill that, or you can just hit the space bar on the computer. Let me show you what I mean. If I disable that, come back to the shape right here, and I click the space bar, that's a legacy behavior that's not written about in the current Anime Studio Pro 10 manual, but it is there. So know that you can create compound paths or hole paths by hitting the space bar after you've done a selection like that. Once the shape is done, you can come back to the Select Point tools. You can tune this up a little bit. We can make the eyes a little more regularly shaped. If I wanted to come to the Curvature tool, I could go ahead and do that and create a little bit larger arc on some of these if I wanted. Let me go ahead and select several at once maybe. and click and drag to smooth those out a bit. So we'll grab the shape itself. Go ahead and click in the middle. It selects everything. There we can see we've got an actual compound shape going. So there are some of the unique features of working with holes in Anime Studio Pro. To recap, whenever you use the freehand tool and draw inside of an existing path, it will automatically create a hole, fill the outside path, empty the inner portion of the drawn path, and then leave the rest of the object filled. Or you can create an object with the fill turned off for all items. Click the Create Shape tool and an automatic object with holes will be created.